Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am the CHALL Rovers till I die. Olowu and Rowe are back in training. They are back. Whether they come back into match action this weekend is another story. There is possibly a concern that they may be. However, today we were talking about where they fit in Schofield's play and what the future will be for these two specific players. We will do these for other players that come back from injury as well, because there is still a couple more waiting to come back. Before we get started, make sure you do like, comment, subscribe, click the notification bell to never miss a YouTube video. Let's get in straight into this one. Socials are at the bottom of the video and in the description as well. So, of course, the two players coming back, Joseph Olowu and Tommy Rowe. Tommy Rowe has been with this club before. Olowu has been here for the last season and a half, pretty much. You know, it was a Richie Wellens signing, came in sort of just after the window, it's around the end of the window in the summer last year. So he's been here for about a season, nearly a season and a half now. So, you know, it's actually hard to believe that Olowu has been here for nearly 1.5 years. It's actually ridiculous. But he comes back from injury. He's got the face mask, so we'll be wearing that for the foreseeable. Obviously, Rowe's coming back from that hamstring problem. We all know Tommy Rowe's history with the club. He was there for a few years, and then obviously left when McCann let him go. And then he came back under Richie Wellens, which wasn't the impact, but he was one of the better players in that terrible season, which we all know. Now, Schofield, the way he plays looks amazing. And when you hear the guy speak, when you hear the manager speak, you know, he watched the O'Driscoll era. He was inspired by the O'Driscoll era. You know, it's in the press. It's in the press over the past couple of weeks that he is, you know, inspired or adhered to the O'Driscoll era. So, you know, when you have someone inspired by that era, when you have someone linked to that era or watched that era and wants to adhere to something from that era, you know you've got an exciting manager on your hands, or a head coach, shall we say. And this is going to be about Olowu and Rowe and where they fit into his formation, his style of play, because his style of play is pretty good. It's on the front foot, it's pressing, it's attacking, working the ball left to right, through the middle, full attack focused. You know, the three at the back, the double pivot, the wing backs, the wingers / wide forwards, and of course the striker as well. So first of all, let's talk about Olowu, because we spoke about the centre backs in the past in a previous video recently. So I'm going to quickly go over Olowu and then a bit more into Tommy Rowe, which is the more in detail one. So Olowu, he's a defender. He's a centre back, for those of you who didn't know, came from the Arsenal Academy. In terms of where I think he's best, it's either the left-hand side of the back three or the right-hand side. Do not put him through the middle. That is Anderson or Faulkner's duty. So, long-term it's Faulkner, but for now it's Anderson. But Olowu, for me, left or right-hand side, has to be either side of the back three. Now, look at the left-hand side right now. You've got Adam Long, who's doing a good job. On the right-hand side, you've got Williams, who has made mistakes, but it's improved from last season. And I think, and again, Grimsby absolutely proved it. Williams works better on the right-hand side of that defence. So you have Williams on the right-hand side. You have Younger still to come back from injury. Where does Olowu fit? And you want me to be brutally honest? I think Olowu works better on that right-hand side. Of course, when everyone's fit and things like that, you've got two centre-backs per position. You've got Long and Olowu on the left-hand side. You've got Williams and Younger on the right-hand side. And Anderson and Faulkner down the middle. That is your sort of centre-back six, if you like. So you've got backup options for all three centre-back positions, if possible. However, you can also use Olowu on the right-hand side. If Younger's not back yet, if Williams gets an injury, you can use Olowu down that right-hand side. Because in the past, in his career, he has played at right-back in the past. So, not at Rovers, but in the past he has played at right-back. Overall in his career, not just Rovers, but like overall. So he has played at right back in the past as well, centre back. And of course he's right-footed as well. So it makes sense to put him on that right-hand side, but he can also work on the left-hand side as well. Now Tommy Rowe's the more detailed one. Tommy Rowe can play anywhere on the pitch. Let's be brutally honest, shall we? He can play anywhere on the pitch. But his best positions for me are on the left-hand side, in the midfield, or as an attacking midfielder or a cam. Now, this 3-4-3 does not rely on an attacking midfield, a cam kind of position. So you're going to be relying on the double pivot and the wing back role and the winger role / wide forward role. Now, do I think Rowe could compete with Hurst? Long term, no. Short term, Hurst has had a couple of games where he's been a little bit off the pace. And I said it in the previous video recently, I think Hurst and Molineux kind of swapped for me. I think that Molineux was the kind of out of form player and Hurst was rocking it under McSheffrey. And now Schofield's just come in and bang. Molineux's confidence is absolutely over the edge, with Nor down his right-hand side as well, who, by the way, arguably the best right-back in the league, full stop. You know, he was Cal Cafu last week. But no, Molineux's confidence has just shot up with Molineux and Nor down that right-hand side. Hurst is now the one that needs his confidence boosting. Now, will Rowe provide competition for that? I'm not too sure. Will Barlow and Taylor provide competition for that? Potentially. Now, where that leaves Rowe is left wing back and the midfield, the double pivot. Now, left wing back. Now, for those of you who say he's not a left back, I know he's not a left back. I'm talking about left wing back. Now, Maxwell currently plays in that role. Now, you've got Noyle and Seaman on the right-hand side and just Maxwell on the left-hand side. Is Rowe the short-term cover and the competition for Maxwell in that left wing back role? He can be. I'm not saying he is the best in that position, but he can be covering that position. But I would look at the left wing back role in January for a potential loan deal. And I'd have Rowe competing for replacing that double pivot in the midfield. But the good thing about Rowe is he's a very versatile player. So you can play him in various positions. You can compete him with Hurst on that left wide forward or winger side. You can compete him with Maxwell on the left wing back side. You can compete him with Close and Clayton in the centre midfield. You can have him as that playmaker alongside Biggins, who's a box-to-box. Rowe and Biggins with their energy and their work rate covering a lot of ground. But the thing about the midfield is Close bad enough to drop for Rowe when he returns fully fit? At the moment, I'm still undecided. I think Close did a decent job against Grimsby, covered a lot of ground, was improved on the previous performance, and Close for me, obviously 25, Rowe's like 32, 33, so obviously Close is going to be a more longer term player. No offence to Rowe, he can still perform at this level, don't get me wrong, but I think longer term, I think Close is a more longer term player. Now Rowe, for me, would work as a playmaker sitting in that double pivot with the box to box to cover that ground, and I think Rowe has got the energy and the work rate when 100% fit to cover that ground. So for me, you could play Rowe in various positions. You could play him out wide up near the striker, opposite side of Molineux. You can play him at left wing back instead of Maxwell if need be, if Maxwell needs a rest or is injured. You can play him in the double pivot if Close is injured or Clayton's injured or both of them need minutes off the pitch. So Rowe, you could play in a couple of various positions. So that's the good thing about Rowe and having that versatility of choice. So I think Schofield could be given some selection headaches if Olowu and Rowe come back into training and absolutely kill it, because Schofield has said in the past he'll decide his formation on his lineups, not his formation but his lineups, based on training, based on the form of the player, how the player feels, the training sessions. So if Rowe and Olowu kill it in training, they will be up for selection. And that was one thing I want to speak about in this video, linking to Olowu and Rowe when they come back, and of course all the fringe players like your Barlows and your Taylors, and you know, when they come back 100%. And obviously Waltman cut a reportedly disheartened figure on the bench against Grimsby. I mean, according to the Free Press anyway. But I think Schofield will definitely give these guys a chance. Barlow will get a chance. Taylor will get a chance. Waltman will get a chance. I think Olowu and Rowe will get a chance when they are back. It is literally, and I think it was pretty much said in an article in the Free Press, it is one of the hardest things, one of the most sad things in football for Schofield. And that's giving the fringe players an opportunity and players being left out on the bench. And it's obviously hard being that kind of guy to tell them that you're not starting, you're on the bench. And that's a typical manager's thing. You know, Schofield's got that problem just like any other manager. Klopp, Guardiola, Potter, Arteta, they would have that same problem with their players. You know, if they wanted to start certain players, but other people were ahead of them and they need to start them to get minutes. And you do feel sad about a couple of players that they have to drop. So at all levels, I'm not just talking about the Premier League. You know, look down in the National League and look at the likes of Wrexham and Notts County. They will feel sorry for players that they have to leave on the bench, because there are options there. There is definitely options there. And here at Rovers, there are definitely options that we could start, but sometimes we may not have the choice to. So I think that time will come. It's just going to take a little bit of time to get used to it. So, for me, Olowu, either side of the back three, not down the middle. Rowe, double pivot, out wide or left wing back. It is simple as that. So, thank you very much, guys, for watching this video. Make sure you do like, comment, subscribe. And for now, I am the CHALL, Rovers till I die. Ta-ra for now.